Okay, hello. This is video 2, continuing on the SQ3R, dealing with longer texts. In the previous video, I covered talking about surveying a longer text, using visuals, using the organization, introduction, and conclusion to understand a very general sense of what's happening. In this video, we're looking more in detail by asking questions, by reading the text, reciting the information, and then reviewing. And all of this information here is online. Now let me move into the text itself. As previously discussed, we've looked at the case about City Telecom, the battle royale for Hong Kong's free-to-air market. And here we have the title of the piece. In addition, there are subcategories and subheadings, all of which I've organized here. And I'll show you the organization here. I've written this down just for reference purposes. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I do this for this video. And I've written down here's the title, the first area that is going to be talking about, and as I've mentioned previously, that typically you deal with the background information. Here we're dealing with the audience and the audience awareness and the consumption habits. Here we're dealing with free TV market, the major competitor, TVB, advertising revenue, drama, and then we're dealing with CTV and its strengths. And then we have, after the conclusion, which we covered previously, the various exhibits. Now what I've done here is I've gone through and I've formed questions based on these categories. So on the title, I write down, why is there a TV battle in Hong Kong? Or you could say, what is the TV battle in Hong Kong? So again, I'm just trying to understand this particular introduction. The next part is again a question about the entire area. What are the major issues facing Hong Kong TV broadcasting? So we're dealing with analog television, digital television, and pay TV platforms. So a question here about the whole general. You could in fact ask more specific questions about each of these areas as well, but I'm not doing that here. Again, next area, who watches Hong Kong TV? So that's dealing with the demographic issue. What do they like to watch? That's the consumption habits or the consumer habits. The next section we can see here is what role does TV play in Hong Kong? So we're looking at, again, the TV broadcasting, the different groups involved, advertising, and the sweetness of drama. What about other countries? Might be another question that you might ask. I typically, when I research things, I want to know what something is, but I want to make comparison to other places. This is very important because this is how we actually learn, is by making comparison. And then finally here, we're looking about City Telecom, from broadcast to free TV. And so what are CTV's strengths? And what are their weaknesses? And then, are there any other examples from other places which that might be in this material? So now, with these questions in mind, I simply read the text. I read it to try to answer each of these questions. In this way, the reading becomes very purposeful. That is, I'm reading for specific answers. I'm not just trying to understand all the details of every issue, but I'm targeting my reading so that I get the most out of my reading. Now here, I've actually, in terms of recite, I want to write out the answers. And I've written my answers here. So number one, why is there a TV battle in Hong Kong? The answer is there are currently 2 companies allowed by the Hong Kong government. This has resulted in each company acting as oligarchies. That is, they're kind of like a monopoly. That it's very similar to a monopoly, but there's few companies as opposed to one company in charge. Next part here is, what are the major issues facing Hong Kong TV broadcasting? Well, there are 2 licensed operators and many paid options available. It is still very difficult to get the Hong Kong government to license a 3rd station. So that's a major issue there that's covering this case. Another next part, who watches Hong Kong TV and what do they like to watch? Well, we learned that women watch more free TV than men, and of that, the 45 to 55 age group watches the most. Most people are switching to mobile devices to consume their media, and the current free services are not pursuing this area. So it's a very important issue as well. Next part is, what role does free TV play in Hong Kong? What about other countries? Well, TVB claims to reach 300 million households, generating 5,209 million Hong Kong dollars. TVB's advertising revenue for 2011 rose by 14% over 2010, and it says that celebrity-driven dramas continue to have the highest rating. So we have some very important numbers that are being used here as well. And then finally, what are CTV's strengths and weaknesses? Are there examples of other TV companies which face similar issues or problems? Well, we learned that here that the chairman, Ricky Wong, has a great deal of experience. Having built CTI into a success, CTV has built a state-of-the-art complex to create media. At the groundbreaking ceremony of CTI's Multimedia Production Center in February 2012, Ricky announced that he has already recruited 180 production crew members, including script writers and editors, and over 140 artists. Okay, and he's investing a tremendous amount of money. Now I can actually write this out as a summary. So all the information here has been written as a summary, quite an extensive summary. And now this information that I have as a summary can then be used to the final step of review. And here what I'm trying to do is, what questions were answered, what questions are not answered, where might one go to get the answers? So quite frankly, what this summary says is, most of the questions were answered, but unfortunately the case only provided information on the current situation, specifically in Hong Kong. What's lacking are studies or examples of what is occurring in other countries or markets. We know, for instance, that the major issue hindering Ricky Wong is a broadcast license. So what have other companies done in similar situations? So this is important information. It might be an area that one would want to research, to look into other areas and other contexts that the case did not specifically deal with. And this can help to improve and provide a basis for the next step of research. So this concludes this video about how to use the SQ3R to get the most of your reading.